Would an AWS certification increase your salary or open you up to more jobs? By the end of this video, you will know if it is worth your time investing in this exam, and if so, what are the best resources, how you can get the exam at a discount, and a lot more. Let's do it.
Come on, Jeffrey, you can do it. Pave the way.
Hey guys, my name is Arash. I used to work for AWS in Silicon Valley, and before that, I got 4 AWS certifications and learned a lot through the process. This video is not sponsored by anyone. It is 100% unfiltered, verbal vomit from my mouth to your ears. Ew. The year was 2016, my paycheck was too small and I was barely saving $1,000 a month, which is a dream for a lot of people, but I calculated that it would take me 2 years to buy a decent car or 40 years to buy a house. So I looked up, what is it that I can learn? What is a certification that I can get to make more money? This article by Forbes came up that said AWS Solution Architect Associate is the certificate that pays the most. So I bought a $10 Udemy course by this nerdy guy called Ryan Kroonenberg and I started studying for this certificate. At the time, my resume was very light. I didn't have any coding background, and whenever I would apply for software engineer positions, I would never get a call back. After I got this certification on my resume, it was a lot easier to get that first phone screen call. If you're already experienced with cloud and you're comfortable building with AWS, then a certification would pretty much be a waste of your time. However, even if you have a good resume, but you're new to cloud, then a certification could provide you a guided path to get your feet wet. Now, a natural question is, does AWS certification help you get a job at AWS or Amazon in general? No. For the most part, the answer is no. Of course, there are tons of different positions at AWS. As a software engineer, you're not required to have a certification. As a solution architect, occasionally they require you to have at least associate level AWS certification. But even for that scenario, your experience and knowledge of cloud is a lot more important than certifications. Now let's talk more about that Ryan Kroonenberg guy. He became the founder of A Cloud Guru, a platform that teaches cloud, AWS, GCP, Azure, and any technologies surrounding it. They are a very successful platform, and their competitor at the time was called Linux Academy. Linux Academy focuses on giving you an environment where you can experiment with cloud technologies. A Cloud Guru became so successful that it bought Linux Academy, and at some point, Pluralsight acquired A Cloud Guru. There are also 2 other resources. One is called Quick Labs, which focuses on giving you guided labs that will walk you through a specific experiment in cloud. The second one is called Wiz Labs, which is a platform that sells you exam questions, which are very similar to the certification exams. There are a lot of resources and each of them costs something, and you need none of them. All you need is the free quota that you get from AWS or GCP and the desire to follow through articles, watch YouTube videos, and actually build stuff. Getting your hands dirty is the best way to learn about cloud. That being said, there is some value into guidance. And if you are to spend money on any of these resources to guide your learning path, my suggestion would be A Cloud Guru. Remember that you're not just spending money, you're also spending time. These platforms stay in business by creating more and more content. It doesn't mean that you have to keep consuming it. Learn what you need and move on. Don't get stuck in tutorial phase. Aside from cost of resources, there's also a cost to buy these exams. For the practitioner one, it is $100, associate $150, and specialty and professional ones are $300. So it's quite a bit of an investment. But that's the cost on a normal day. AWS tries to update these exams regularly, so they come up with this thing called beta versions. Beta versions are usually priced about half the price of the actual exam. So for a professional one, which would be $300, it is $150. They do that so more people take these exams, and they're exactly the same as the normal ones. It's just that the questions are newer. The only problem is that these beta exams are not always available. So you will have to keep an eye out when they are available. They're usually out for 30 to 60 days and then they're gone. To save money aside from this discounted version, check with your company to see if you get any educational assistance or benefits related to certification exams or learning materials for it. At the time that I took my exams, I worked for a small company that allocated $2,000 a year for learning materials related to the job or certification exams. There are a lot of different AWS certifications. What's the right one for you? If you want to be a software engineer, my recommendation would be to start with the Solution Architect Associate, and probably that's the only one you need. It gets you familiar with all the fundamentals. It's not too light, it's not too heavy, and you can do it in a few weeks. If you want to be a DevOps engineer or focus more on the infrastructure or networking side of things, my suggestion would be the Developer Associate or Professional, as well as the Networking Specialty exam. Of course, depending on your company, you may need to learn other tools like Terraform, Chef, Puppet, or whatever tools your company uses for their DevOps practice. And then there are other specialty areas like the machine learning, big data, or analytics, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend taking the certification for any of these, but if you just want to get exposed to the areas and kind of get familiar with what products AWS has to offer in those realms, then it's not bad to use the certification as a guided path to learn, but not necessarily take the exam. Aside from your profession as a software engineer, DevOps engineer, cloud architect, it also matters what kind of company you're in. Are you in the government, public sector, private sector, Silicon Valley, Europe? Depending on that, the value of these certifications vary. For example, there are companies like Deloitte or Accenture or lots of smaller companies that value someone with an AWS certification because then they become a trusted partner for AWS. Accenture and Deloitte are top trusted partners of AWS, but smaller companies that try to get contracts value people who have professional level certifications because it increases the number of contracts that that company can apply for. On the flip side of that, if you're trying to get into Silicon Valley FAANG companies, pretty much nobody cares about your certifications. Even people at AWS, most of them don't even know these certifications exist. I mostly talked about AWS in this video, but there's also Azure, owned by Microsoft, and GCP, owned by Google. There are other players like Oracle, Alibaba, and DigitalOcean, but let's focus on the big three. AWS is the biggest player in the world, and then Microsoft's Azure, which is heavily adopted in the government space, and then GCP, which is being adopted the fastest in the startup world as well as Silicon Valley. In the 2021 Forbes article, GCP is actually mentioned above AWS as far as the in-demand certifications go in the cloud space. In my personal projects, I actually use GCP more than AWS these days. You really can't go wrong with either. You can learn one and it's very easy to transition to the other. I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, don't forget to subscribe. This will motivate me to create more videos like this. Best of luck.